All right, I'll take that to heart, Yzan. I gotta say, the missing limbs things is kind of cool, and I really feel like that's Chekhov's missing limbs. Don't show me cybernetic implants in a game if I'm not allowed to have them. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, we are back in Outward, and oh my goodness, it has been just about forever since I have last played this game. But there has been some exciting news about Outward 2 on the horizon, and that has me looking longingly back at Outward 1, wanting to jump back in. So we're going to do just that today. But like I said, there's exciting news about Outward 2, and I like to talk about video games, so we're going to do that up top. But as always, if you'd like to skip straight to gameplay, anything on the progress bar that doesn't say intro will be gameplay, and I'll see you over there. But if not, let's talk about Outward 2, and then a little bit about Outward 1. So, like I said, there's exciting news on the horizon. They recently had a backstage, which is like a live stream that the CEO hosts where he gives updates on all the games they're working on. And at the end of that live stream, he said there's going to be a playtest early next year, and they're going to follow that up with an early access release of Outward 2. The sign up for the playtest is live right now on their Steam page. If you have not been, what are you waiting for? Head on over and sign up. I'm sure I'll probably put a link in the description, but if not, just search Outward 2 on Steam, and good luck to you. Hopefully we all get in. And then, like I said, they're going into early access after that, which I don't want to use the word mixed bag, but he did have some interesting news at the end of the live stream. 9 Dots, the studio, is now not only a developer, they're also a publisher, and he had indicated that the game that they're publishing is delayed, so there won't be any money coming in for that until it actually launches. And he also indicated that the game that 9 Dots themselves put out recently called Lost in Prayer, which is a like strategy turn-based kind of puzzle game. While not a failure, he said it specifically wasn't a failure, but it didn't bring in as much money as they had hoped. And so they're going to go into early access with Outward so they can start to bring in some money. Very particularly noted, kind of paraphrasing here, but very particularly noted, the studio's in no danger, just, you know, kind of a smart move for a CEO to make, say, hey, we don't want to put ourselves in danger, so let's start bringing in some money. So I truly do hope, like I said, it's not a mixed bag of news, but it does leave me really hoping that this does really well for them, and then also that I like the game. Those two things do not have to go hand in hand. I still hope that the studio does really well. I like what they do. I like their approach to creating games. So even if Outward 2 ended up not being my cup of tea, I still hope it does well. But we're playing this today because Outward 2 is actually really shaping up to look good. I like to try to not get too excited about games before they launch, so I don't necessarily have that hype as of yet, but there were a number of things about Outward 1 that I was personally, I don't want to say critical about, and maybe disappointed. This is not a review channel, and I'm not usually very negative on this channel, so I've never really talked about a lot of this stuff while playing Outward on the channel, but we'll probably talk about it a little bit today, very specifically because it really seems like they're addressing a lot of the things that left me a little disappointed. I want to throw a big caveat up here, a big asterisk, and note that the first game, the one we're going to play today, was made by a very small team. It grew while they were making it, but I don't know if it's called 9 Dots because there were 9 developers or if I'm just imagining that, but I think that was the case. They started out with like 9 people. And so every single complaint I have, which is another reason why I have not voiced them previously playing this game on the channel, is something that is so easily attributable to limited resources and a limited pool of people who can work on stuff. But with everything they're showing with Outward 2, it really feels like they're addressing not only the stuff that the general community and audience was somewhat critical of, but also all these like little things that like, oh man, that's something I really wish you guys would have worked on. I think the biggest elephant in the room that they've already addressed a number of times is the combat was not everybody's cup of tea. I've never had a problem with it. I think it's absolutely fine. If you've never played this game before, a lot of people compare it to a Souls-like, maybe, kind of. It's got some of the elements. Like I said, I'm not critical of the combat, and I play games for immersion and experience. I'm not really playing to, like, win. But I do understand that the combat is a little bit clunky, can probably be a little bit frustrating, but in terms of comparing it to a Souls, like, you know, you've got your dodge roll, you've got iframes, you have movesets that are specific to the weapons that you're using, and you have enemies that have movesets that I don't know necessarily that I'd say you're memorizing patterns and memorizing movesets, but there are some moves that enemies make and boss enemies make that are kind of repeated and you can kind of memorize. I don't know that that's really a good comparison. Like I said, I don't usually care about combat. You could actually have crappy combat in your game if your game is super immersive, and I'm still going to love it. But I mention this because they apparently have done a lot of work on the combat. Everybody that has had hands-on with this game has said it is very smooth, and feels really good. The combat feels snappy and responsive and is smooth and is different, which is great, but I honestly probably wouldn't have cared either way. One of my favorite games of all time is Skyrim, and it has some of the worst combat of any game in my library, and I still love the game, so I never really cared. But for me, there's a handful of like little things. We're not going to go through everything today. Like I said, this isn't a negative channel, and it's not a review channel. This is a hobby. I'm here to have fun. I play games because they're fun. I'm not here to like complain about them and criticize them. But there are a handful of little things, and I would say a couple of the biggest ones are really worth noting and talking about, because I don't follow the news for Outward 2 very closely. I just kind of checked in on this live stream and watched a couple of the other ones recently and was like, damn, they really seem like they're hitting all these points. One of the biggest ones for me is that the world felt kind of dead. Now, a lot of this comes because I played this game back to back, I think 4 or 5 times in a row. It was a very popular series on my channel. It is still a very popular series. It's still one of the most watched playlists to date. The first video for the definitive edition is the second most watched video on my channel, and still is probably the second most watched thing literally right now. And so people were responding to it, and I was enjoying engaging with people, and if people want to watch it, I was going to play it. So I played it like 5 times in a row, and by the end of that, it was like being with a partner that you just don't have enough in common with anymore. You can see what you love about them, but the only thing you see when you look right at them is the things that you hate about them. And so it was time to break up. But like I said, the biggest issue for me was that the world felt dead. I don't play to win, to get good, to level up, to be the best. Kind of say that a lot on this channel. I play for the immersion, and I felt like a lot of the game, I was, going outward, going outside into the world, and there's not really a lot of signs of life. There's no non-hostile NPCs. I don't think there are any non-hostile NPCs. Actually, on this screen right now is a female deer, a doe, from the Enmerkar forest, and I think that might be the only non-hostile NPC, like straight non-hostile. But they're always flanked by alpha deer that are hostile. But there's no trade caravans, there's no farmers, there's no other adventurers, there's nobody out there. And that's just in terms of like people showing signs of a life lived. But the world itself also kind of dead. When you really kind of get close to it, not only is there's not a lot of flora, there's not a lot of clutter. When you do take a minute to look at the clutter, particularly the clutter outside in cities, you go, this doesn't really make sense. I don't know that this would be here like this. I've got a bunch of games in my library that are also dead. I'm playing a bunch of Kenshi on the channel. That is also a popular series right now, and I've talked a lot about how that world's kind of empty. You can walk from one side to the other of the world and just reach the end of the world. There's not really much out there for you. But there's something about the way they've put that world together, the way they've put the geology and the flora and the fauna together, along with non-hostile and hostile NPCs, that make that game feel strangely familiar while also being alien and also lived in and alive. And this always felt like it was kind of missing with Outward. Is I would get to places and I would feel like it's set dressing. This doesn't really feel like people live here. And in fact, when there's signs of life, sometimes those are very fake signs of life. If you've watched me play this series on the channel before, I often lament the Rick and Morty bit about real fake doors, because there's a lot of them in this game, and they are not only inside of cities, they are outside as well. It's very frustrating. But like I said, I want to reiterate, small team. Never complained about this before, because it doesn't matter. It's a small team, and hey, there's a lot to love about this game. Why nitpick these particular things? But that was a big one for me. And as they're showing videos for Outward 2, and the more that I see about it, the more that it looks like they're putting a lot of thought into the clutter. We won't know. I'm not going to know until I get my hands on it for sure, but it really does seem like they've spent a lot of time making the outside world feel very realistic, very lived in, very true to life, and true to what you might expect. It is a foreign and fantasy world, but there's nothing better than a foreign and fantasy world that helps you suspend disbelief. And the more I see about this game in its previews and in its marketing videos, the more I'm like, oh, I feel like they're hitting the mark. One of my other biggest issues with this game, and like I said, I'm not going to go through all of these, but it seems like I want to talk about the stuff that it seems like they're directly addressing in case other people have felt the same and you're not following the development. Maybe this will get you interested. But one of my biggest issues with this game was that a lot of what ended up being the community that surrounded this game appreciated what was very apparently the most viable thing to do with this game. The game was marketed as the Adventure Life Simulator. In fact, I found out about this game from a Kickstarter. Their first introduction to the public was a Kickstarter called Outward: The Adventure Life Sim. And a lot of talk about how difficult it was going to be to survive out in the world. And I found, as someone who really loves those kind of mechanics, things like, needs and diseases and sickness and injuries and debuffs and buffs that could last an entire gameplay or literally be permanent or take a complex series of steps to resolve. I love that stuff. But I found most of it in this game was darn near trivial. And if it wasn't trivial, it really seemed to be custom-tailored, designed for min-maxers. And that's a lot of what the community that kind of aggregates around this game are people who really like putting very specific builds together. People who are, maybe they do absolutely enjoy the story, but so much of the content you can find for this game involves just forgetting there's a story in the game. Who cares? Next, next, next. You find out so many guides are, don't read the responses in dialogue, just choose option 1, then option 3, then in the next section of dialogue, choose option 2, and then you get the item that you need and bring that item over here to put together with this item, go to this trainer, put it in the legacy chest, and then you've made this build that we can now give a name to. And while I have no desire to take that away from anybody, like more power to anybody that enjoys that stuff, I was always looking for the experience. I wanted to just enjoy the RPG and kind of take what comes. And I felt like a lot of this game was hampered by the most god-awful RNG that I've ever experienced. I am all but certain they're using some formula of true random because, my goodness, some of these drop rates are painful. You can watch me experience this on this channel. I one time killed every pearl bird in this game twice, waited a second season and killed every pearl bird twice. No pearl bird mask. And I really wanted one. It's not like me, because normally I will say, I don't care. I'm not trying to put something specific together. I'm not trying to make a build, but I particularly wanted the pearl bird mask, and I could not get one. Hours of gameplay. And the closest I've ever come to rage quitting this game was quite literally getting ready for this series. I popped into Chersonese. The very first 2 pearl birds I killed, 2 of them. One immediately killed the next. They were like 100 yards apart. They both had pearl bird masks in them. And that's a great thing. I've got 2 pearl bird masks right now. I could pop one in the legacy chest and use the other one for the entire playthrough. But I was so annoyed with this, I almost rage quit. I'm like, how dare you? How dare you give me 2 of these? But yeah, so like I said, it felt like a lot of this game was like designed for people who want to grind or want to like focus on putting together very particular builds and deal with, drinking 1,000 potions and casting 1,000 spells and having this like wall of medallions up the left-hand side of your screen. And that's the way you play. Go in and you can't fight the boss until you have all of these buffs all set up very specifically with a build made to fight this boss. And like I said, I don't want to take that away from anybody. If you enjoy that, more power to you, 100%. But I always just kind of wanted the experience of being an adventurer who might not necessarily know that there's a perfect hat or a perfect enchantment out there and just kind of took what came to him. And all of this is to say, one of the things I've seen the CEO note is that they're working really hard to make sure that just kind of running through the game doesn't preclude actually enjoying play the game. They want to make sure that you don't lock yourself out of fun by not focusing on particular builds. I don't think that was included in the backstage. He recently was on the subreddit, and there's been a couple of interesting comments from him, and I think that's where I saw that, was him saying it's a very particular focus and a very important aspect for them is that everybody who plays this should feel like they have a valid way to play it. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like music to my ears. And I kind of covered my other big complaint with this game, which was the survival aspects are not nearly difficult enough for my liking. I'm not a skilled player at all. I'm not a really good player. If you've watched me play this game, you already know that. But I really like what I consider experiential difficulty. I think there's a couple of different types of difficulty, but the 2 most popular typically are skill-based difficulty, which is reaction time and button pressing and moveset memorization and combo memorization, that kind of thing, versus experiential difficulty, which most people that enjoy the first type of difficulty will consider the second type to be frustration mechanics. But things like having a disease that is really complex to cure, or having hunger that is constantly popping up, or having thirst that is really irritating to manage. And this game has a little bit of it, but I always felt like it was negligible. I've often made the joke playing this game. With my first character, I played a a character that found a great axe, and so that's what he used for the entire playthrough, was a great axe. But I've joked that, and it's more than a joke because it's true, you can do this. You can absolutely get through the story in this game with a great axe, some beef jerky, a water skin, and some bandages. You don't need anything else. The game might be a little more difficult, and you probably can't face some of the hardest bosses without really struggling. But you certainly could get through the main storyline with just that. You don't need to concern yourself with camping. You don't need to boil water just to stay alive. At least I didn't. Your mileage might vary, but I play a lot of these kind of games, so maybe that is trivial to me, but it might not be to others, and I fully understand that. But I was looking for a more difficult experience. I mean, they also multiple times said in their own marketing that you have to earn magic. When you go get magic, you have to give away something to get the ability to cast spells. To get mana, you have to give away life. And the last playthrough that I did on this channel, I played a magic-only character, a magic-focused character, and the one thing that the developer said never to do, don't give away all your life in exchange for mana. And there's even a kind of a foreboding story built into this game of a character that does that and how difficult it is for them. But I did that and had absolutely no problems whatsoever. I'm not saying the game's a cakewalk and a breeze. There are certain struggles here and there, but it wasn't like I need to start over because I've soft-locked myself out of playing this game. In fact, it made the game kind of trivial in some spots. Now, all of this that I'm talking about, the difficulty and the experiential difficulty, this is not something they have addressed. I'm hopeful that this is something they change, but I mention all that to note, and we can kind of parlay into talking about Outward 1 and what we're going to do today. That is something I have changed myself. One of my last and final greatest disappointments with this game is when I think it was when they put out the definitive edition, they added a hardcore mode. And oh boy, do I like when games add a hardcore mode. RPGs specifically when they add a hardcore mode. Because typically, that hardcore mode comes with an increase in experiential difficulty. If your RPG doesn't have the need to sleep and drink and eat, well, a hardcore mode is usually going to add that. And if it does have those things, the hardcore mode is going to usually make those things much more difficult. It's going to add a whole bunch of changes that make the game more difficult. And unfortunately for Outward, the only thing the hardcore mode added was a 1 in 5 chance of having your save deleted, which I just was so unhappy with. I played it once on the channel. Hilariously, my very first death was a real death. But one of my absolute 100% favorite things about this game are the defeat scenarios. I've talked about this so many times on this channel. It's my least favorite type of save systems in games are save and reload and checkpoint and reload save systems. Because while you, the player, can feel like you suffered a defeat, the character that gets to the end of the game never died. That character experienced a Groundhog Day level of Deus Ex Machina. There is an unseen benevolent God that is guiding them perfectly every which way they need to be guided to make sure that they come out the other side with minimal issue. You know, how does that manifest itself? So, you know, you're playing a first-person shooter, you kick open a door, you get shot in the face with a shotgun, and you get the screen, wasted, you're dead, whatever, and you have to reload, and now you, the player, know there's a guy behind that door with a shotgun. So now your character behaves differently than they should have. And this always kind of bugs me. Like I said, the character that gets to the end of a game never died, not once, and never really suffered any negative effect. You might have some negative effect here and there, like, oh, I lost some health, or I lost a weapon I really wanted, or something broke, or whatever. I didn't get the exact right outcome of my dialogue choices that I wanted, or whatever. But ultimately, that character doesn't suffer any real major setback, which is why I love defeat systems in games. Outward might be the only game that has this as a standard part of its gameplay. This is something that I like to mod into games wherever possible. One of my favorite mods for Skyrim of all time was a mod called Death Alternative, Your Money or Your Life, that basically did a similar thing. Instead of saving and reloading, you just had a scenario that played out based on how you were defeated. And they were very, very immersive. And they made a lot of sense based on how the world was built. The mod was incredibly janky and buggy and barely ever worked properly, but my goodness did I love that mod. And when Outward came out, I was like, man, it really feels like they played some of my favorite Skyrim mods and added them to a game. That death scenario specifically being one of them. Now, I will say, there aren't enough for my taste, and most of them are too forgiving. This is, again, in terms of experiential difficulty. When I suffer defeat, I want to suffer defeat. And in a lot of places in this game, I feel like you really don't ever have to truly suffer defeat. When I played the first time through in the definitive edition, what I called Jim's Adventure, I got to the end of the game, the very last fight, and I didn't realize it was the very last fight, and I didn't realize how close that fight was. And so I charged out the door and ran down into the fight without being in any way prepared, and was immediately knocked out. And instead of coming to and finding out that the city was lost and all hope was lost and everyone was killed and there's just a few people left, maybe another injured soldier drags me outside of the city and we see it burning behind us and he says everyone's dead, no one made it. Instead of that happening, I got woken up, I think, by Risa, who said, you fought your hardest, you did your best, you were knocked unconscious, but we managed to save the city. And the only negative outcome that I got was I got one piece of a set of armor that I did not want to begin with, and instead of getting like 1,000 gold, I got 500 gold when I had 10,000 gold sitting in a chest somewhere. So all in all, really not much suffering for my character. I felt like my story didn't have a conclusion that I earned. But anyway, the point of all of this is their hardcore mode only added a 1 in 5 chance of dying, and did not add any other aspect to make it truly hardcore. And so, like I said, I bring this up because we're going to parlay into talking about what we're going to do today, and that is the first order of business. I am playing with a handful of mods this time. There's only a couple of mods, but the first, foremost, biggest mod that makes the most changes is a mod called True Hardcore, which I'm very excited about. I've been playing with it a little bit, and it is really making this game a lot of fun. For those who are interested, I'm going to go through some of the top line changes because I think this mod is pretty darn cool and I can't recommend it enough. But first and foremost, when you die, you now get a mortality debuff, which decreases all of your defensive stats and can stack up to 10 times. You can have this cured by a person that's in the world. It is not too expensive to have it cured. And there's other things you can do to kind of protect against this mortality debuff stacking nightmare. But it's pretty cool to have a very serious consequence to falling in battle beyond just a scenario playing out. One of my favorite changes that makes the biggest difference to gameplay is that enemies now can see you from incredibly far distances. Maybe too far. I don't know that a developer would ever put something like this in a game, but it is almost chaotic. You can quite literally step out of the front of Chierzo in the beginning of the game, and as soon as you can see the bandits that are at the fork in the road, they can see you. And that's basically the rule of thumb. If you can see an enemy, that enemy can see you, and they're going to start charging at you. And so if multiple enemies can see you from multiple directions, it's going to get pretty chaotic pretty quickly. But as is already the case in the game, these enemies will fight each other, so it makes the world a little more randomized, which I really like, because a lot of the world was kind of static. A lot of the enemies were always placed in the same spot, and once you cleared them, that was it. And you kind of always knew, when I turn this corner, there's going to be an enemy here. When I go here, there'll be an enemy at the crossroads. And now that's not necessarily true. You'll go through an area, and if they've been sitting around long enough, they have kind of moved around chasing other things, and you'll run into them in different places. It also makes, my God, it makes going into busy dungeons all but impossible. Enemies have better hearing and they have better vision, so you really have to think about stealth. And you got to be careful about how and where you fight to make sure you don't draw the entire dungeon to you. Now, when you do get into these big grand battles, you can no longer cheese these battles, which I don't think I really did too much of, but you certainly can take advantage of it passively. Enemies will heal. Not only do they heal during combat, if they actively attack you, they will heal. But also, if you leave the area, if you unload the area and load back in, so if you walk through a doorway or if you leave an area for long enough, they'll heal. So you can't just leave and come back, and what used to happen is the enemy's health bar stayed the same and you could just take them out in one hit. Nope. If you're fighting a Wendigo and it's a problem, you can't leave and come back once you're fully healed up. You kind of got to deal with it now, or just forget it and come back when you're stronger. The mod also makes some very interesting changes to stability. Your base stability regeneration is lower, and it also doesn't regenerate when you're blocking. In addition to that, when you attack enemies, you also damage your stability slightly. And as best as I can tell, this is affected in both directions. So this effect to your stability that applies to you also applies to enemies. If they attack you, they're going to damage their own stability, and their regen is a little bit slower. Interestingly enough, now casting spells also affect stability. So the idea that casting spells takes a toll on a wizard's body, I really like that. A very interesting change in terms of cheese that I absolutely have taken advantage of is they have changed how traps function. Now, if an enemy triggers a trap, they will not trigger remaining traps for some period of cooldown. And the idea being, once they've triggered a trap, they're aware that they might be traps around it, so they're a little more careful. But I have absolutely, I think in the last series on the channel, I set out, I think it was 27 traps to see how many a manticore would get through before it died. And it was pretty common I feel like a lot of players do that. Traps specifically. You could set up 30 of those in a row and it's absolutely fine. You just kind of walk through everybody. So no more. Enemies will now be aware of traps after they trigger the first one. So this mod makes some very interesting experiential changes to defeat as well. Now, when you get defeated, it seems all but guaranteed that your armor is broken. That's it. You can still wear it, it still has like 1 protection, but you can't repair it. Only a blacksmith can repair it once it's fully broken. And at least in my experience with this mod so far, every time I'm defeated, my gear is broken. In addition to that, I think the mod author notes like bandits are now actually bandits. Instead of taking like 50 of your gold and leaving you with 2,000 gold, they take all of your gold, if not most of it. They'll take stuff off of you, which is pretty darn cool. The mod also makes some very interesting changes to camping that can kind of force camping now. I think I mentioned that I played this game and camping's not really necessary. I didn't ever find it super necessary. I would camp to move time forward if I wanted to. But there's a couple of changes. So you cannot camp inside of a city. So if you're not staying in an inn, you're camping outdoors, that's that. In addition to that, you can no longer get inside of a city at night. They lock the city completely. Now you can bribe the guards to get in. You'll get like a pop-up that says like, do you want to bribe the guards for $100? And they'll let you in. Basically, the city secures itself at night. It's dangerous out there, so they'll let you in the morning when they can see your face clearly in the light. But that means you will very likely be spending more time camping out in the wilds. And one further change to camping, you can no longer guard while sleeping. So you basically are always going to have a chance to get ambushed. The idea of literally sleeping with one eye open was always kind of ludicrous to me anyway. Like you spend some time guarding, whatever. So now when you sleep, that's it. You may get ambushed. That's the deal. There are no changes to safe areas, so you still can camp in safe areas without getting ambushed as a scripted event. However, I have found that you can camp in safe areas, but because enemies move around more frequently now because they can see longer distances, they might wander into your campsite as soon as you wake up. So you still got to be on your toes. A lot of fun. They changed how a feature that I really love because I add this into any game that I'm able to add it into. They changed how looting and animations and stuff works, mostly to be a little more difficult, I guess I would say. You actually have an animation now for putting on clothing, so it's not instantaneous. So you can't get dressed in the middle of a fight. You can loot things instantaneously, but you can't loot instantaneously when you're in combat. Quite literally, and very scary, if you are in combat and you try to loot a body, the character will sit down. And I'm guessing that's because that's the longest animation they had access to, but the idea being, don't be looting in the middle of combat. It's kind of silly to do that, which I'm very much a fan of. The idea that these things take time and can't just be done in the blink of an eye in the middle of fighting a Wendigo or a Manticore, like, yep, all for it. So this mod also resets the linked stashes that Definitive Edition brought, which I was never a fan of. You now do not have a magic stash that is linked between all of your houses. They are per city, which I really liked, and I felt like Outward especially had the ability to make that an in-game thing you had to work for. Like, they could have made a special enchanted stone that you had to put in every stash, and then that might link them. But instead, just having it by default be all linked always kind of bugged me. So this does not add any kind of special stone or anything to link them. It just says, screw that. If you want to get stuff from one place to another, you better walk and carry it, which I really do enjoy. I have memories of playing with a friend when I first found this game. And it was like we had an apartment and we were moving to another one. We had to like make a checklist of all the things we could pack and all the things we could carry and what we were going to leave behind. It was a lot of fun. It was a very good memory. And the last and biggest change that is worth mentioning, and this is a very interesting one and kind of forces me personally to re-engage with the game again. You cannot guess recipes anymore, which on one hand is kind of non-immersive. I mean, you certainly could experiment with things and learn a recipe in real life. But what ends up happening, I mean, I know for me personally, there's a handful of recipes that you just know because you've played the game so many times. And you never buy them, you just know them, and so you do them, and then you know that recipe. And that's not the case anymore. You are going to have to purchase or find every single recipe you want to use. If the one caveat they have given, the one saving grace they've given is that it does not consume the ingredient to try the recipe. If you try the recipe and it's wrong, it just says that's not a recipe. You have to go learn it. And I've actually found that's a very big frustration mechanic, but I found it to be quite fun because it's forcing me to re-engage with the game by thinking about where I have to go. I'm a really huge proponent of don't look at the wiki, just go explore. And so I'm trying to think of places where like, oh, I want to learn this thing. Where might that be? Where might I buy that recipe from? Where might I find a recipe like that? And I'm having to actually go have an adventure rather than just, know something because I've played it so many times. All right, so that's the biggest mod with the biggest changes, but like I said, I really can't recommend it enough, so I wanted to go through what the differences you'll see today. But in addition to that, I'm using a couple of other mods. I'm using Immersive Time, which basically just stops you from seeing a digital output on your map. You'll see descriptors like morning, afternoon, evening, and night. But in addition to that, if you go into a dungeon, you go into a cave or a castle or anything indoors, you will lose track of time. So once you go inside, it'll be like, it's been 30 minutes since you entered this cave. And it's up to you to keep track of what that time frame is. And after a while, you'll literally just get a message that's been, you've been in here so long, you have no idea what time it is outside. And then lastly, I'm using Gamepad Plus, and that's just in case anybody is wondering how I have so many quick slots. The person just added extra quick slots that you can use with the Gamepad. So, all right, my goodness, that is absolutely enough out of me. Let's jump in. All my life, I've lived within the safety of Chierzo, spared the brutality of the world outside. But life in Aurai is never that easy. For all the safety that my tribe provides, our laws are harsh. We are judged not as individuals, but as bloodlines. The failures of my bloodline weigh heavy on me. My grandmother brought ruin to our tribe long ago, bringing a heavy blood price upon my family. We've paid the debt caused by her actions ever since. I joined an expedition across the sea with my old friend Yzan, hoping the money made there would be enough to clear my debts. This was a mistake. I'm lucky to still be breathing after our ship hit the rocks on the return voyage. Now I have no choice but to pick myself up yet again and face the wild, untamed land outside the walls. I must carve out my own future or die trying. All right. And there we have our would-be hero, Esher Abiel, as he wakes up in what appears to be midday, which is nice because that means it's not cold. Let's take a look. Less than 2 hours since enter. Yeah, this counts as an interior space for the game. So he's not cold. But let's get him up and we'll see if we can find signs of life. He obviously is aware that he's been in a shipwreck. We'll go ahead and grab this torch, even though it's going to warm us up. We'll turn it off. He obviously knows from the cutscene that he's been in a shipwreck, and we'll go see if we can find anyone else alive. I very likely cut it out, but there's one more mod that I'm using, which is an alternate start mod. But we are very clearly using the vanilla start for today. But if I end up playing through this whole character story arc and people are interested in seeing it, maybe I'll come back and do some of the alternate starts because there's some pretty cool ones in the mod. But for today, we are telling Esher's tale through the vanilla story. One thing I'm going to do for this playthrough, that I kind of do for all of my playthroughs, but I've been really particularly focused on specifically with the most recent Kenshi playthrough, is playing in that narrative roleplay way. I use that term to describe the idea of just specifically not metagaming, doing what I think the character would do in a given moment, and not trying to do something that is specifically beneficial for me, the player. We'll see how well that holds out. It's kind of difficult to do that in Outward. I'm not a build connoisseur, for sure, and even with the last couple of playthroughs I did, I still kind of try to do it narratively. But there are a lot of things that you end up learning by playing this game where it's very hard to forego the idea of just doing the most beneficial thing, or doing a metagamey thing. But, all right, Esher finds his friend Yzan praying over a dead body. Let's talk with him. Esher Abiel, you're alive. You must be freezing. Come warm up by the fire before you freeze to death. You'll catch cold if you wander around without any clothes. Here, they're not much, but wear them. Oh, nice. Look at that. I forgot to get dressed. He gave me another tattered attire. Where are we, Yzan? The last thing I remember was our ship hitting a rock. We're not far from home. You can see the lighthouse from here, can't you? Edo made it out, too. He's making his way to Chierzo to go get help. Edo made it out alive, too? Thank a lot. He's a Kazite, Esher. He was born on a ship. This probably isn't the first time he's survived a shipwreck. If you're still feeling too injured from the shipwreck, go ahead and sleep in one of the bedrolls I laid out. I'll keep watch for Edo and rescuers. All right, thank you, Yzan. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let's get dressed. And there we can see we've got an animation now to get dressed, which is important to keep in mind. We don't want to be changing clothes when we're in the middle of combat or in a dangerous place. Yzan, if you wouldn't mind, if I'm going to grab this bread in case I get hungry. And I think I saw a bandage over by this brazier, which I'm going to grab as well. While you keep watch for rescuers, I will search this little enclave here and see if there are any other survivors. This is a great example of trying to find a narrative contrivance for what's technically metagaming. If you've played this game as many times as I have, or really played it at all, you know there are no survivors here, and there's a couple of hyenas back there and maybe some loot. But a really good reason for him to not just head right to the bed is to say, you know what, I'll look around, see if anybody else survived. Maybe he'll go peer out to the edge here and looking to see if there's any other pieces to the ship as he sees stuff washed ashore, and maybe looks off to the right and says, oh, what do we have here? We'll go check this stash here. All right, let's take a look at what we've got here so far. We are not going to need this other piece of attire, so let's rip that up. And I'll tell you what we're going to make. We're going to make a shield. Keep ourselves nice and safe. And you know what? Since we can do it, let's go ahead and make a club as well. And can I make a bandage? I can. All right, that's good. Let's get ourselves a little bit set up here. We'll make sure we can get this back out quickly in case we need to. We'll equip them both. We might not be using these things for too long, but just to have them ready. All right, well, let's go look around the island. Or I guess this isn't an island, just this like weird little outcropping that is segregated from the rest of Chersonese. But yeah, so like I said, the main driving force here is going to be doing whatever I think the character would do in a given situation, except there's one narrative contrivance that I am going to put upon this character, just so that I can have a different experience than the last time I played, is I think he's going to reject the Blue Chamber Collective and his blood price. After that, we'll see whatever comes his way. I don't know if that's going to lead us to Monsoon or to Levant or to the Antique Plateau, but I've done the Blue Chamber Collective a bunch of times, so I think rather than letting him experience that story, we will say pretty definitively right now that he is going to be pretty frustrated with his blood price, and then we'll take it from there. And here we see someone else has fallen. They've got a machete at their side, but you know what, my friend, we will leave that for you. Oh, and this is a really good example of hardcore mode. We want to keep ourselves hidden here because those hyena will absolutely be able to see us from here. And what I'd love to do is catch one of their attention when only one of them is looking, and this is a good opportunity to do that. Can you see me? Yes, you can. Look at, he's coming running. Oh, he stopped. There he is. Come. He's losing sight of me. Come over here. You know you want to. I don't want your friend coming over here. They might actually only be aggro inside of this little area here to save Yzan from trouble. Get over here. Here, I'll just take care of him. Come on, before your friend gets over here. Come on. Here he comes. God damn it. Oh, I got you both. Oh, and you got me. How dare you? Stop it. How dare you? I kicked you both and now I have an infection. Do your silly jump. And you know you want to, right in front of me. Do your jump. You're gonna do it right when I go to kick you. Done. Good. There you go. Get over here. Get over here. I'm gonna cut you off. Oh, fuck you. Nice. Beautiful. All right. It's been a while since I played. Did a little bit of practicing before I started playing this, but that was a couple of days ago. So we are going to see some rough gameplay as I shake off the cobwebs. He'll make it, though. He'll make it. I believe in Esher. We already bandaged ourselves. He's a little bit hungry. We've got that bread. We may as well eat it. And let's eat this. Do Gaberries help hunger? They do. Nice. And we can come take a look at what the hyenas were snacking on. Gruesome. They ripped apart a body. As Esher finds a hollowed out trunk. We're going to take just the shoes for now. We're going to go ahead and put those on. And it does indeed seem like that is the very last thing of interest to him here. What do I got to do with this disease infection? Lose 3% of your health per minute. Eating restores 15% less food. Oh, I'm losing health per minute? That sucks. That's fine. We'll take care of that. Oh, that does mean we're going to have to spend money at the alchemist. So one of the things I'm particularly not going to do in this playthrough is clear out cities for no reason. Man, we are losing health but fast. Let's, whoops. Let's bandage up one more time. We can make more bandages later. But yeah, I'm very specifically not going to run through cities and clear out stashes and chests. I'm going to try very particularly not to steal things that are just out in the open. We'll buy things when we have to, and if things are just laying around, we're going to just consider that stealing, even though it wouldn't be in the game. If there are places that are enclosed and it feels like people aren't going to miss things, we can make a decision at the time, but I think that pretty much the general order of business for this game is to run around looking for all stashes and chests that are in any given town, and either break down, sell, or make use of all that stuff, and I'm going to try not to do that here. He's going to be a good citizen, I think. We'll see. All right, he's had enough excitement for one day. We're going to use this bedroll and let us go to sleep. One of the other really cool things about this mod we're going to see in a second is your house is not filled with stuff. Unconsciousness comes quickly. You dream of being ensnared in something. With a yelp, you jump out of your bed. Relief floods you as you recognize where you are. You're back in your old bed at home, the lighthouse of Yzan. Yzan must have brought you back to your family's lighthouse. Only your aching body tells you that the shipwreck you suffered was not a nightmare. Alright, I had to restart the character because I am using mods and I am not used to using mods, and it's also through a different mod service called the Thunder Store and the R2 Modman mod launcher. And I forgot to launch the game through the mod launcher, so not all the mods were active. And I think I was saying, just before we loaded in here, that this house is now empty. But I loaded in and the house was filled with stuff, so I restarted the character. He does not have a disease, and he also has a handful of different things in his backpack. But I just ran through the intro really quickly to get us right back here. But there's no bag in here. There's no beef jerky. There's no lantern. There's no nothing. Nothing at all for us. The only thing we do have is there might be something in the chest, which is an even better kind of narrative reason to reject the blood price. I mean, he does have this gigantic lighthouse all to himself, but there's not much going on here for him. It's an empty house with no family left for whatever reason. So whatever he's got in this stash is going to be it. Oh, nice, we've got some shoes. And another tattered attire, and we'll leave the wood spikes for now. We can always make those. I think you can make those by default. We are going to rip up this because it is the exact same. I'll tell you what we will do. We'll put this one on instead because it's not damaged a little bit. I'm sure we'll find something new very quickly. But we are going to rip this up. And we are going to make a backpack because we're going to need one. How much money do we have? $32? We're going to make a backpack. I do believe that's all we need. Look at us. He is ready. He's a sad pauper, ready for adventure. Let's head outside. And what do we have here? Half the town has gathered to come yell at us, I suppose, huh? Rise and shine, Trog spawn. You think you can nip off for 4 months and not pay what you owe the tribe? Hey, screw you. I was on an adventure on a ship literally to make money to pay my blood price. Whatever. A blood price is sacred, Esher Abiel. You can't just shrug off that responsibility for as long as you did. I was literally out earning the money. What do you want me to do? If I don't see the money from you by the time I count to 10, you'll regret you ever came home. Literally, people are dead. What a jerk. You know I can't pay it. All the money we made in Hiroshi is at the bottom of the bay. Yeah, and you were on that ship too, weren't you? How many lives must your family be responsible for destroying before enough is enough? How dare you? How dare you? I lost my daughter on that voyage. And how is that my personal fault? This is good. I think this is a very good reason for him to reject this blood price. Screw these people. Stop this right now. You're being unreasonable. Don't make this violent. If you can't make the payments you missed, we'll seize your home. That ought to cover 4 months of ignoring your duty to the tribe. Either way, pay up or get out of our way. Risa Aberdeen says, enough of this. 12 people are dead. Stop this shameful behavior at once. This is time for the tribe to come together and mourn our lost loved ones, not to demand payment from a survivor. Hey, took you long enough to step in there. To threaten someone like this while the lost lives are still fresh is an insult to their memory. Esher Abiel is a victim of that shipwreck too. Under the laws of the Blue Chamber Collective, I have declared a period of mourning. You understand what that means, don't you? And the blonde man says, but Chamber Lady Aberdeen, Esher has clearly been... And Risa Aberdeen says, I said that is enough. If you want to resume discussions with Esher after the mourning period, feel free. But until then, your concern should be for those whose lives were lost in that wreck. Oliel, see these people off, would you? Oliel says, you heard, Mother, away with you, or I will personally see to it that you get double shifts of guard duty this month. Leave Esher be. Risa says, I'm sorry that was the first thing you woke up to, Esher. Please forgive them. Many of them have lost family and are not thinking straight. I can't believe they want to seize my home. Can't you do something? If I could do more, I would. The most I can do for you is declare a period of mourning and buy you a little time. If you do not pay those 4 months of missed payments on your own, the tribe would have my head. For 5 days, no one in the tribe can ask you for what you owe. That gives you 5 days to pay back all 150 silver coins. $150 over 4 months. That's actually not that bad, considering how you can make money in this game. Either gather the money or earn a tribal favor, and they won't be able to touch you. Once you make the payment, come see me up at the town hall on top of the hill. Please find a way to make it work, Esher. The last thing I want to do is to take your lighthouse away. This blood price is unfair. You can't hold me responsible for things that are out of my control. Have you forgotten why your family bears this blood price? When your grandmother was chamber lady, she turned away the followers of Allot in our time of greatest need, forcing the tribe to pray only to the 5 winds for protection. I don't know, that doesn't really sound like something worth many generations of people having to pay silver to the town for, but I don't know. I don't live here. Because of her pride, dozens were slain by the beasts of the Scourge. Your bloodline owes it to them to pay back that debt. I can't bear this stupid blood price any longer. What if I just leave and never come back? If you think you can survive alone out there in the wild, you have that right. But remember, your tribe is your family. We achieve more together than we do on our own. It is a fair point. Well, I can't possibly accomplish this. I'm gonna need more time. 12 people lost their lives in that shipwreck, leaving grieving kin behind. Their need outweighs yours. Trust me, Esher, I wouldn't be doing this otherwise. Their families need the assistance immediately. You must find a way to pay what is owed to the tribe. The last thing I want is to confiscate your home. Well, then I'm going to have to head outside the walls, I suppose. That does seem like your most effective option. Dangerous as it is. I doubt you'd be able to gather that much in such a short time by staying here in Chierzo. Never forget, no one is an orphan here. Do not hesitate to ask the rest of the tribe for survival advice. Though you owe us a blood price, we will still help you however we can. They were literally threatening to attack me outside my house, so I don't know about that, but sure. If you can do a great deed for someone in Chierzo, we will owe you a tribal favor, which I will accept as a substitute for your payment. Once you're ready to leave, speak to Burak, the gate warden. He will judge whether or not you are prepared to face the outside world. Remember, Esher, you only have 5 days to pay me the 150 silver, or show me proof you have earned a tribal favor. May your ancestors watch over you. And the call to adventure log has been updated. And we see that the sailors of Chersonese may not be the best. There's another sunken ship out there. I don't know that I ever noticed that before. Let's talk with Oliel. I'm glad you survived the wreck, Esher, and I'm sorry about your losses. I know how much you were counting on this expedition. That glowing sword is new. Where'd you get it? Oliel says, Rufus commissioned it for me as a going-away present. I was going to leave this morning to go join the holy mission of Allot before Mother could stop me. But with the shipwreck, it wouldn't be right to leave. I have to stay with the tribe until the mourning period is over. You have no idea. I don't know how I'm going to gather the money Risa is demanding from me. I have faith in you, Esher. You'll pull through. If you can survive a lethal shipwreck, I'm certain you can make your next blood price payment. Go on now. We both have work to do for Chierzo's sake. All right. I guess I'm off. All right, let's go explore the town. We'll see if we can make provisions. As far as Esher knows, he has to head outside the walls, and I think he probably knows he shouldn't do that in sandals. So we'll see what we can do about that. See if there's anybody else around for us to talk to. I think it probably makes sense for him to get a real shield and maybe an edged weapon. We might let him decide what weapons he likes the best, but I would imagine sword and board is a pretty generic answer for most people who would think they're going to go adventure in a dangerous place. If he ends up lucking into weapons that are better than that, so be it. But I think we might try to see if we can pick up at least a sword before we leave here. With the note, like I said, that there are things like, there's a hatchet sticking in that tree, but we can probably imagine that it belongs to this caravaneer there, and so we're going to leave that be. And like, there's a machete sticking out of this rack of drying fish, but without a doubt, that belongs to this lady. She wouldn't get mad if I took it, but I'm not going to take it. And we can see on the beach is our friend Yzan staring out at the sea, probably wishing he had a ship. Let's say hello. Yzan says, Esher, I wish I could greet you with a smile, but, well, we both know that won't happen. A lot's breath. What a disaster. How are you holding up, Yzan? Yesterday I was leading our most ambitious expedition in a decade. Now all that's left is this wreck and a tribe in mourning. I'm not holding up much better than you are. What happened? How did our ship sink so close to home? The lighthouse wasn't lit at the time we made impact with the rocks, I'm certain. I remember thinking that we should have seen it by now, right before we hit the rock. We lost everyone below deck. Half the ship came apart before I was able to run aground. So we lost everything, all the coins, the spices, the armor, and weapons? Unfortunately, yes. What little we could salvage from the wreck was gone to the families of my drowned men. My finances are reeling from this loss. I have barely enough left to start over. Still, we have no right to complain. All we lost was some coin and 4 months of time on this failed journey. My sailors lost their lives. Of course, their families need all the help they can get right now. Kind as ever, Esher. Even struggling with your own problems, you still open your heart to those in need. Your parents would be proud. This blood price on your head is disgusting. It's unfair to hold anyone responsible for the crimes of their ancestors. You weren't even born when that tragedy happened. Yeah, and I'm kind of starting to dislike it myself, huh? Escher's gonna say, I know, but I don't have a choice here. Yzan says, of course you do. Your life is your own. You could choose to do what and where to go. Just because a choice is hard doesn't mean it's a choice you can't take. Yzan continues, I'm sorry I don't have better news, Esher. Well, I guess it's up to us to pick up the pieces. Best of luck with squaring things away with Risa in the short term. I guess I truly am on my own then. Yzan says, actually, I do have a small stash of goods I hid in case of disaster. I hid it near the old shipwreck to the south. When you open it, remember that the moon commands the stars. You'll know what I mean. Remember, take care of yourself and don't be a tool for others, or you'll end up with missing limbs like me. Make your own path. All right, I'll take that to heart, Yzan. I gotta say, the missing limbs things is kind of cool, and I really feel like that's Chekhov's missing limbs. Don't show me cybernetic implants in a game if I'm not allowed to have them. That's all I'm going to say. Let's go see about purchasing a sword, and if we have any money left over, we'll see what we can do after that. Maybe we'll see if we can talk to some people. Hello there, Loudhammer. Hello there, Esher. Need some gear? I recommend our iron weapons and a bow or a shield if you're using a one-handed weapon. I actually would like a bladed weapon if you have one. You have a $20 iron sword, and I'm going to take it. Thank you, sir. I have literally nothing to sell you, so be it. That leaves us with 12 bucks. Let's do this. Let's get our sword equipped and assigned to a quick slot. We'll drop off our club somewhere. There's not much we can do with our club. Let's go see how much things cost at the merchant. Business is slow for me whenever that Soroborian caravan comes in. Let me know if I have anything that catches your eye. Well, let's take a look. I'd love to get a backpack, but we don't have that kind of money. I will take a water skin. We're going to need that to go outside for sure. So we'll take that. That's half our money right there. I might take a burnt health potion. Or, you know what, an improvised bedroll in case we got to sleep outside. We don't want to be tired outside. We'll deal with that stuff first. That's just about all our money. There we go. I think Esher has a really good idea of what he wants to do. Obviously, you've played this game before. You know exactly what he can do to make sure he doesn't lose his lighthouse. But not only did I say the one narrative contrivance we'll probably put upon him is that he's going to reject the Blue Chamber Collective. But I think that means what's the point in saving the lighthouse? But it seems like his motivation right now is he's got no money. He might be thinking about trying to save the lighthouse. But Yzan said he's got a stash, so we're going to maybe go try to find out about that. We'll see the people we can talk to. May Allah watch over you, Esher. Can I help you? You're a healer, right? What should I be worried about out in the wild? Do you have any specific questions? What do I do if I catch a disease? You can brew or buy various types of tea to begin the recovery process. To make your own in the wild, you'll need the ingredients and a cooking pot, though. After drinking, you'll need some time before the illness is actually cured. If those options are unavailable, just rest for a long time. Have lots of water, sleep, and food. Eventually, you will beat back the disease. Depending on what you caught, it may take several days before you're well again. All right, thanks. Thanks, Rufus. Now, he's lived here all his life, so I assume he knows where everything is and who everyone is. Let's go talk with these trainers. Oda says, Amba, friend Esher. I continue to train every day so that someday I can fill Edo's boots and protect Chierzo. Maybe we should train together, huh? Well, I don't have any money right now, but I'd like to talk. I made a trip to visit the old hermit in the valley beyond the Ghost Pass. It's a dangerous journey, but his knowledge of magic is vast. To learn spells of the Cabal of Winds, there is no better teacher. All right. And there you are, Edo, my friend. You made it. Amba, my friend, ready to continue your training? Can you teach me how to fight? What do you want me to teach you? How should I protect myself? Well, some foes will do more than just strike at you with swords or claws. They might harm you with ice, fire, lightning, or more. Wear equipment that resists that type of damage they inflict. Alright, every blow you take will destabilize you. If you take too many hits in a short time, you may be knocked off your feet. If you're being harried too hard, try to get some distance from your foe and regain your footing. Likewise, if you manage to make your opponent stumble, press your advantage. Blunt weapons are an excellent choice to use this strategy. Let's talk about training. We're going to need some money because we'd definitely like to train with him, certainly if we're going to leave this area. At least $100, huh? We can increase our maximum health and increase our impact resistance. Good to know. This is a good example of there's just some loose recipes laying around here, but I'd like to imagine that probably belongs to whatever hunter clearly lives here, whoever's drying this this deer pelt there. So we're going to leave that, and if we want those, we're going to buy them. You know, at some point, it might behoove Jim to go into a place like the storage down there that I'm sure he knows exists. He probably knows he could set up a small camp inside of there without getting into any trouble. And perhaps he would pilfer some things out of the sight of guards. But we'll pretend that stealing is illegal for now. But either way, it's afternoon. He's got just about everything he can afford, and he's got what he needs to leave Chierzo. He's not in the best condition to do it, but it's not like he has much choice. There certainly are other people we could talk to here, and there's more for us to do in this town, but the daylight is getting away from us, and he's got a good lead, and I think that makes sense. He would probably want to go see if he can secure that stash. Greetings, Esher, says Barak. Is something the matter? Well, Barak, I'm going outside. Well, you've got the essentials at least. Here, I'll teach you a skill. Mastering these is key to survival out in the wild. Want me to teach you one for the weapon you're currently holding? Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. We've learned puncture. There you go. Mastering skills like these is the key to survival out in the wild. You should look for trainers whenever you visit a new town. They usually group near training equipment. Others need to be sought out. All right, I'll let you go outside the town walls. Use the gate whenever you want to head out. Stay safe out there. All right, thank you, sir. Let's let us equip our skill. I think we're good to go. For now, we are. We spent enough time dawdling in town anyway. It is all but certain we're going to have to camp outside. I don't think we're going to make it where we want to go and back in one day, but... So we'll go in knowing that's the case. It can never hurt having some berries in your pocket for a long journey. I don't know if we already have one in our pocket, but we see a hyena up on the hill. We'll go get some height. Like I mentioned, with this mod, I think we've already seen, enemies can see you from pretty far away. So we got to keep that in mind. He already sees us and he comes running. They were a little stilted in the intro area, likely due to constraints, I would imagine, for making sure Yzan doesn't get into a fight. But they will, without a doubt... Nice. They will, without a doubt, see us from very far away. So we gotta be on our toes. And wherever possible, we want to see them before they see us. And while Esher has noted that he has spent most of his life inside of the safety of the city walls, he seems to be doing kind of okay. The cannon, Esher... Oh, 2 pearl birds. Let's just gaze out on the horizon there. We see anything else? Does that pearl bird see us? He might. He might have seen me. I don't see anything else out here. Oh, there's 2 bandits right down there. Let's make sure those bandits don't see us if that pearl bird does. We are thirsty already. We're going to take all this stuff, but we're actually going to go back in here and I'm going to put this, this club in there. Now, we've got some pearl birds. We had some bandits, which I've lost sight of them. We're going to... Oh, I hear somebody fighting somebody. They might have seen the pearl bird. This makes this a little more chaotic and a little more exciting, a little more unpredictable, and I will argue a lot more fun. Oh yeah, they ran. They're going after that pearl bird. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to you. Did you leave one friend behind? We might capitalize on that situation. But Esher saw what looked to be an unusual tree trunk. I imagine he knows it's not uncommon for people to store caches of supplies in these things, and he certainly is in great need right now. What do we got? Cold stone? We'll definitely take that fishing harpoon. And let's go see if it's possible to be opportunistic here. I think that's always a great idea. We'll try to do that wherever possible. He is certainly at this stage not a hero. He's a would-be hero. If things go in his favor. Okay, we've got a running Pearlbird. There was a bandit by the tree over here, but I don't see him now. We do have a place we want to get to, but he was thirsty, so let's take a drink. Let's go up to the top of this hill and we'll just, let's go up right here and see if we can get a good sight line on where these bandits may have landed. I don't want to get double teamed at this exact stage. I wouldn't mind kicking a Pearlbird in the face, though. And I can't imagine that a Pearlbird defeated 2 bandits. I find that impossible to believe. That Pearlbird's running. Those 2 bandits are stuck together. Good to know. I lost the other Pearlbird. There he is. Alright. We're just going to move away. We're going to see if we can make it to the beach. Those bandits clumped back up. If this Pearlbird decides to come try to attack me, we will roll the dice on a Pearlbird mask, but I think he's probably in flight mode, in his fight or flight mode. He's probably in the flight version. Maybe? I don't know. Tough to say. We'll see if we can tease him to come out this way. Those things are a pain in the ass because once they get hurt enough, they just sprint away from you at about your run speed. So, whatever. We'll leave them alone. We've got stuff to do. We've got a goal in mind, and we might be able to make it out there by dark. It's going to be dangerous to sleep outside, so we probably should have gotten a hustle on to begin with. Just going to keep our eyes peeled, make sure no one's following behind us. With the true hardcore mod, like I said, it makes it a little more unpredictable. Because enemies move around a bit more, as we've already seen. Those bandits may well be in a very different spot when we come back through this way. But Escher notices another hollowed out log with the same stuff in it. We don't need those. We don't need any of that stuff. We're going to leave it. We're going to want to keep our weight in check. Now, I imagine these characters that you start with in the vanilla starting scenario, you get that splash screen that says they grew up their whole life in Chersonese. I'd imagine he knows the general area. Even though this character's like, I grew up inside the safety of the city walls. He probably knows some stuff. I know this area very well, so that's kind of what I'm thinking of. Is, does he know the area as well as I do? Does he know... Oh, I'd love to only take on one of these hyenas. Does he know where all the caves are? Does he know where the dangers are? We're going to come down here, and we're going to deal with this guy. Hopefully alone. Nope. We're going to drop our bag because we're not going to be dealing with him alone. Unless I can... Nice. Okay, good. I'm going to say, unless I could deal with him quick enough, and we're just going to look over here because there could be more enemies. We don't know. We're going to take care of that hyena, but we're going to put our bag on first. He'll probably come running by the time we do. He will. Nope. What are you doing there, friend? Come on. Nice. All right. Head on a swivel. Nothing's coming. I'm gonna grab all this stuff. I think I mentioned you can loot very quickly, but if you end up in combat and you loot, the character will literally sit down, which is very frightening. We're just gonna be very cautious. There's another hyena. We might deal with that. I'd imagine Escher knows that he can buy some recipes that might help him make use of things like leather, and he's gonna need to do that now. Gonna need to make use of all the things that he finds. Living life as an adventurer. Nice. Ooh. A dead adventurer. I'm sorry, friend, but I think I'm gonna need this stuff more than you do. Amalite boots. Very interesting. The question will be, do we learn that or sell it? What would this person do in this moment? Would they think the money is more important or the promise of possibly making something in the future? Man, I'll tell you, I don't know anybody that wouldn't agree with this, but they really knocked it out of the park with the first area. The rolling purple grasses next to the Conflux Mountain, gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Combined with the soundtrack, 10 out of 10. All day. All day. Now, considering, like I said, the one narrative contrivance I want to put on this character is that he's going to reject the Blue Chamber Collective, which we'll do. I think that means, as another contrivance, we're going to have to hang out here for a few days. I heard something. Thought I heard somebody fighting. We're going to have to hang out here for a few days so that we can push the story forward. I don't think you can just reject the offer of the Blue Chamber Collective without losing your lighthouse first. I don't think so. We'll find out. That gets into metagaming, but I want to get to the point where this character can just go be what he's going to be. Which means, like, I don't know, what's his life going to be? Is he going to become a magic user? Will he adventure into the Conflux Mountain? Will he adventure into other territories? I don't know. All right, I see a bandit out there by himself. We're going to drop our bag in case there ends up being more than one out there. It's not common for people to hang out by themselves. Only the player character seems to be that dumb. You there. Oh, you bastard. Waste my special move. Nope. How dare you. How dare you. Waste my special move. Nice. All right, no one else is coming? No one else? Okay. Bag back on. We're going to have to make a plan for sleep. I think what we'll do... Let's try to head high somewhere. So if we do get an issue... I'm not going on the mountain. I don't want to go up the side of the mountain to try... Oh, nice, a cooking pot. What? That's fantastic. Yeah, we'll try to find a nice high spot. I don't want to go up the side of the Conflux Mountain to go find a place to take a nap. But we should probably settle in. If we're going to do that, let's just be careful here. There's no bandits, no pearl birds, but we should grab some wood so we can make a campfire. While I have enough to... make some cooking recipes. We have enough ingredients to make some specific cooking recipes. I'm gonna have to buy them. I'm always keen on making jerky, and we could go collect salt water. But we can't make jerky until we buy the recipe, so we'll just go get ourselves settled in for the night. Yeah, that should be good. That should be a good spot. It does look a little boxed in case things do go wrong. I think I mentioned, not only do you have to be worried about ambushes because you can no longer guard. Ooh, look at this. We find another body. What do we got? Oh, what? Trader garb and a fang club. Interesting. We'll take the salt. Let's put on this trader garb. Yeah, so not only do we have to worry about finding a decent place to sleep, which if we can find butterflies, that's great. But even in butterflies, if you're not familiar with this game, butterflies are a safe place to camp. You won't get ambushed. You still can technically get ambushed because something like this pearl bird that I'm going to take care of right now might wander into our campsite. You there. Come on. Do what you're going to do. Don't you do it! Nice! No pearl bird mask. Boo. It is my white whale. I still am so salty about killing every pearl bird and... Oh, nice. There's butterflies up here. Alright, that's good. This is a little closed off. I'm a little concerned about this. If something did wander in here, we would actually be trapped here. I like being high because if you can get multiple escape routes... Let me see. Can I get down here? Yeah, we actually could probably get down right here. I have been, like, technically ambushed. It's not scripted ambush, but I have gotten ambushed by somebody just wandering into my campsite in the morning, so... Gotta be careful. Alright, let's take a look at what's in here. All stuff we'd love to have. And let's set up. We'll set up right here. We'll go ahead and eat before we go to bed. We'll leave him to be thirsty in the morning if he gets thirsty. And let's go to sleep. We'll sleep for 5 hours. We'll repair for 2. And it should be morning. We'll sleep for 6. And we'll sleep for 5. That's fine. Big money, we don't get technically ambushed. Alright, let's just take a look. Nothing's around here. Nothing's down at the bottom here. Before I start unpacking and get tied up in animations. Nothing has wandered over here. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's grab our stuff. We are thirsty. We're a little bit cold, but we'll start to warm up shortly. I'll tell you what we can do. We're actually getting colder because it's still early in the morning. It's technically nighttime. We will take out our torch. Let's light the torch. That'll help us warm up until the sun rises. Let's just be on our toes here. Look down this way. Make sure no one's wandered over and appreciate that unbelievably gorgeous sunrise. Now, I guess I kind of answered the question I had before is, does Esher know as much about this world as I do? He said he grew up in the safety of the walls, but, I mean, he lives here all his life. He's got to know some things. And I don't think this is the shipwreck that we crashed on. I think our ship was broken apart on the rocks where we ended up waking up. But he probably knows there is an old shipwreck over here. I think that's what Yzan said, by the old shipwreck. So he probably knows. I would imagine he expects Esher knows where that is, so. I guess that answers the question. Oh, shit! Not good! Not good at all. Okay. Drop the bag. Take out the shield. Take out the weapon. And deal with this guy. Come here. Oh, bastard. Okay, one down. Watch the archer. Am I bleeding? No. This makes it much easier to... Alright, good. Oh, I can't kick. I can't kick. My kick was not ready. Now it is. Fall down! Nice. Alright. Woo! Alright. Bag on. Let Esher catch his breath. I'll leave you with your machete. I don't want your gaberies. I want to loot the bandit. We'll take that mushroom bar. Do I need it yet? No, we're not burnt health, but we are missing health. If somebody had beef jerky, I would eat it. And they don't. We're going to take the trap. I'm going to leave the bow. We're going to take that iron sword because we're going to swap it with our damaged iron sword. I kind of want to let the character find their own way. The generic bow doesn't seem like it would call to anybody. I feel like sword and board is like the generic adventurer. Are you going outside city walls? Make sure you're protected and everyone can swing a sword. If you were to find some amazing bow, that might call him to use it. If you were to find a gun, we might use that. The feeling I'm getting right now is melee. I might go deal. There's 2 enemies over there for sure. There's a heavy with a warhammer and a hyena wearing armor, which will be a bit of a pain in the butt. We could eat this. Let's eat this. I want to get some health back in case we end up having to deal with these guys. They're kind of wandering over where we want to go. We want to go explore that shipwreck. But is he looking at me? He might be able to see me. No, he doesn't. All right. Oh, they're walking away. I don't know that I want to fight anybody down here clustered by this thing, but if we can get behind the boat, he shouldn't be able to see us. I just don't want to get surprised, and it'd be nice if I could take them one at a time. We're going to climb over this hill and make sure there's nothing over here as well. For the whole reason that I don't want to get surprised while I'm dealing with that. Chest. While searching for Yzan's stash. I lost sight of... There they are. They are dead ahead. The bandit with his pet hyena. Again, Chekhov's item. Don't show me cybernetic limbs if I can't have them. Don't show me pet hyenas. And there we go. Someone is fighting. This must be the stash that Yzan told you about. With a careful look, you find a hidden compartment containing the goods. A metal panel is hidden beneath the wood. 5 elements surface under close scrutiny. A skull with 2 stars embedded in its eyes. The sun, a fish, and the red moon. And he said, the moon commands the stars. The stars move slowly in the rusty mechanism, then finally gives way, revealing a secret drawer. The stash consists of a purse full of coins, a dagger, and a bottle. Nice, this stuff is coming with me. And someone is... Oh, shit. Shit. This is not ideal. I don't want to get stuck with these... with the bandits and these hyenas, but I will deal with the hyenas. We're going to drop our bag in case things go really wrong, but I think we're okay here. Oh, can't lock onto him. There we go. Nice. All right, we're going to go deal with this guy. I'm going to leave my bag there. I just want to get away from the bandits over there. We might go deal with these bandits. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Don't you dare. How dare you? Uh-oh. Nice. Alright. Oh, shit. Did that bandit kill... Is that a pistol shrimp? Ugh. Oh, I don't like that at all. Maybe we don't go fight him. Not trying to get ended. We're not really in good gear yet. We can grab this oil. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh, uh-oh. He's coming running. He's coming running. Don't run from me. Oh my god, they're going to fight more hyenas. Very interesting. Alright, let's let that happen. We might take advantage of the outcome. Oh my god, there's 2 heavy fucking bandits right here. I can't. I can't. You're killing me, game. I love this. I love what hardcore, true hardcore does to this game. I don't give a shit about the other hyena's dead body. I do not want to draw these guys over here. Part of true hardcore also is that they might reprioritize you, even if they're fighting each other. So you still have to be pretty darn careful. Just watching. If they drop him, I'm going to be very happy because I'm going to go to... I see he's got a shield, and I'm going to go take it. I am going to go take it. Oh, they got him. They got him. They got him. I'm going to see if I can grab... I don't love that that guy's just standing there not moving. I'm going to grab all that. And we're going to go over here, and if I got to fight both these guys, so be it. I'd love to clear them out. Because I want to go... I want to get that shield. They're on high alert. And that bandit doesn't seem to want to move. I wish they'd see each other. Might give them a minute to do that. I don't know if these hyenas are interested in exactly where I am. But they really do seem to be wanting to come directly to me. And that bandit seems to be getting closer and friggin' closer, and I really, really, really want this shield. And it's all the way over there, right on top of that bandit who sees me. I gotta go. I gotta go. He sees me. He's coming. He's coming. Maybe we can lead him away. And they are just gonna hover over that body. I'm either gonna have to fight him, which will be a pain in the butt, because I'm not really well outfitted for it. It's not worth it. We'll go. He's going to have a shield, which would be great. I wouldn't have to buy one, which I'll do when I get back to the town. But we don't have a good head protection. We don't have good foot protection. We're just no good. We don't have good protection all around. We've got nothing on our feet. We're wearing sandals, for God's sake, and a cloth on top of our heads. We'll head back. There'll be many other opportunities. What is this? Did I deal with you already? I did. I did. Well, just be careful. It is a new day. There are new enemies, like this pistol shrimp, guarding the way back, which is a pain in my butt. We're going to try to sneak past him. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do it. He might get angry with me, but we'll see what we can do. He turns away? No, he turns towards me. We're going to run. We're going to sprint. Quick like a bunny. Run, run, run. Alright, let's slow down a little. Is he coming after me? No, he gave up. He's a little unhappy, but we're going to keep going. Well, he's going to be there blocking that pass for a while. Unless something wanders past him, he's going to be there for a bit, huh? So be it. A nice quiet afternoon. Oh, it's still morning. Where's the sun? Just about to become afternoon. We're going to go high right here. Because I don't remember We took care of a hyena here. Oh, no, there's another one. Alright. We'll deal with him. For sure. He's already coming running. Come here, you. Nice. Alright, I thought I saw a pearlbird carcass. I didn't know if he had killed one, but I think it's just salt. Let's take a look here. Yeah, that's just salt. We also see what is possibly abandoned encampment off in the distance there. There is plenty of adventure for him to have, even in his own home region. Now, we have a whole bunch of leather, which is good because we can buy some crafting blueprints to make some better boots and head covering, which we will certainly need. A relatively quiet morning. Started out a little dicey by the stash. It would have been nice to be able to loot that body, but I don't want to risk it. That body was in close enough range to both the heavy armored bandit and his hyena. Obviously would have to fight them, but we were also in close enough range to those two hyena that were wandering off. If we drew all of them together, it would have just spelled disaster. Balancing the risk versus reward. Always a good idea, certainly in the beginning of this game. Are you all by yourself? Clearing the roads is always a good idea, especially early in the day. I don't see anybody else around here. Looks like you've gotten separated from a possible friend, which means I'm going to deal with you. Yeah. Nice. All right, no friends. There's two hyenas. What did you have on you? Nothing. We'll take your money. Do I want to fight two hyenas? Can we get one to come over here? I'd love to go see what happened. I know we saw two friends hanging out together. Oh, I'm going to be fighting two hyenas in 2 seconds. Alright, I'm going to go up high. I feel like we saw this guy having a friend. I'm going to take a drink, and that might mean I'm fighting hyenas. They're coming. They're investigating where I was. Oh, they're coming. Yeah, they're coming. I shouldn't be going up here because I don't know where that other... Damn it. Alright, we're fighting. Here we go. Damn it, not what I meant to do. Damn it, got me. Got me, I knew you would, but whatever. Your friend is down, that's all I care about. I didn't get sick. We're fine. Come on. Nice. Alright. Let's look around. Alright. Before I loot these bodies, we're just gonna look up high. Because I swear to God, we saw him walking around with his friend, and I don't want to get ambushed whilst I am trying to loot those bodies. We've got those two bodies right there. We've got, ooh, two bandits down there. We're going to take a look at whatever noises they've been hearing. We're going to loot these hyenas and get the heck out of here. Gimme. Our bag's overweight. That's a good thing because we're carrying so much leather it defies description, which means we can make use of some of it. We can sell some of it. We're going to have to deal with those guys when we come back out, huh? Oh, the gates of home. What a sight for sore eyes. Let's head inside, sell off what we can. We'll see if we can make some smart purchases here. Oh, how nice it is to be back within the safety of the city walls. Madam, I would very much like to buy something from you. Alright, nice. We made 96 silver. Do I need anything from you? No. If you had a gun, maybe do I just buy trader's boots? Now we'll make boots. Maybe we'll buy a straw hat. It's only 20 bucks. I think we'll make a hat and we'll make some boots. I think so. We'll see if we can go buy that stuff. Everything else we're holding on to, right? Yes, indeed. Thank you, madam. Here's what we're going to go do. We're going to buy a bag, and we're going to see if we can buy a shield. We'll buy a bag. We're going to see if we can buy recipes, blueprints to make boots and a hat. And then we'll buy a shield. That might be all the money we have. All right, beautiful. Look at us. Now, let's learn fire rag for sure, makeshift leather boots, makeshift leather hat. We'll learn the Fang Club, sure. Maybe that's what he wants to wield. He found this very interesting blueprint for a weapon. Let's take a look. And I think we'll sell the Ammonite boot recipe. I think so. I think he wants money. Let's go over to the blacksmith. Before we go to the blacksmith, maybe we'll hang out back here because we're gonna have to take off our clothes. I'm sure it would scandalize the people in town. But we are gonna make boots and a hat. All right, let's go see if we can make enough money to buy a shield. Look at us, ready to rock and roll. Now we're just about ready for adventure. Oh, good sir. I would like to sell you some stuff if I can. Will you buy all these arrows? Thank you very much. Will you buy this Ammonite boot recipe? You will. And we'll hold on to the fangs and leather because I think we want to see if we can make that stuff. But let's see. I would love a shield from you. And I might buy a club from you. Let's take a look at what the recipe is for a club. It is a mace, some fangs, and some cloth, which we have everything except the mace. So, do I have the money for it? Yeah, maybe we'll just buy a mace. All right, let us make our fang club. Oh, and we can make a fire rag. Nice. Let's do that for sure. We'll make a couple of those. Done. We'll make even more. Done. I think that's good for now. Let's try out our fang club. What do we got? That really does. That fits the aesthetic of the crappy shield. We should buy a recipe for a fang shield and just become fang warriors, huh? We'll stick with this for now since we just bought it. And we're going to sell you back this sword. Thank you, sir. There you go. That's for you. We've got our big silly club. It's slow. We'll see how well it fares for us. Oh, you know what we don't have is a special move for this club now. It's good to remember that. Maybe we do want to hold the sword on us. Something to consider. All right, well, I think that's where we're going to leave it. Esher Abiel has found himself in quite a predicament in Chersonese, but it seems like he is well on his way to figuring out how to make his own way as an adventurer. So when we come back, I think we'll probably poke around town a little bit more, see if we can find any more work that anybody needs for us to do so we can make a little money so we can fund our lives as adventurers. But we'll do that in the next episode, so subscribe for more Outward, and I'll see you next time.